everyone, it's Rachael from Australia, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator for Merrick Makings. This month's global video hop theme is techniques. I always struggle with this one. I know I use lots of techniques, but what is it that I can create and showcase? So hopefully today's video gives you some little hints or something new to try. Here is my card. And I don't know if you can see it or not. See all the speckled? I've done this on a few cards now, but there's like a speckled effect. So it's quite a simple card, and this is a great one for beginners because there is no mistakes. So we have the Layering Leaves stamp set, which is out of our catalogue. We have 3 colours that we focus on, as well as some scrap basic white cardstock. But we have Fresh Freesia, Lost Lagoon, and Pretty Peacock, which is a fantastic colour. So we've also used, as well as the inks, we've used a couple of blender pens as well, and you'll see that in the video, some little tricks there, so that we can, if you didn't notice, there is a coordinating ribbon, but you can't buy a coordinating ribbon, so this one is a little trick. But the main trick, even though this stamp set has got a speckled effect on it, and you could use that, if you don't have this set and you wanted to use something else, you still get the speckled effect using just ink blending and some water and a water pen and some ink. So there's 2 layers to it. I'm glad that you joined me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave a comment. Make sure you pop that like on there as well. And I hope that you also pop over to all of our other friends from all around the globe who are showcasing all kinds of techniques. Get all those hot tips, everyone, and get into some card making. Let's go. So we're going to start off with our Pretty Peacock cardstock, which I'm just going to create a base. In Australia, that's just half of your A4, and we're going to cut it down, and then we're folding it in half, and then I'm going to go in with the Fresh Freesia, and I'm going to cut that 1 centimetre shorter by width and height to create a mat. Then I did create a panel for the middle, which was another 1.5 centimetres or so smaller. So I did eyeball a lot of this. I didn't take too many measurements. The whole idea of this card was supposed to be quite simple. The layering leaves have lots of different leaves that you can use. I'm using sort of this outline, sketchy looking one that has the line in between. And I'm going to use the darker ink, so that is the Pretty Peacock, on top of the Lost Lagoon, and stamp it just down one side. And then I'm going to come in with the Lost Lagoon, so the lighter of the 2 green inks, and I'm going to ink all the way around. And I'm quite heavy-handed with this. It needs to be quite saturated in order for this technique to work. So basically what we're going to do in a moment is we're going to add splatters of water onto it and blot those off. And what that does is it actually takes some of that ink and sits it above the cardstock, so it draws it out of the cardstock. By blotting it with your tissue that you're going to use, or a cloth, it's going to remove some of the ink. It's a very subtle effect. You get different effects using different colours and different inks. So if you wanted to use, for example, white cardstock with a darker ink, it will show up a lot more. I wanted this to be quite subtle, so I go in with quite a lot, and I do it twice with the water and then blot it off. Then what I wanted to do, and you could use the stamp that I said at the beginning for this next one. You can see all that lifted ink off there. I used the darker ink, and I've just had that on one end of my block, and I'm going to add some water and create a watered down ink. Don't worry about the fact that you've made a little mistake like I did, and I added, I was too close, and I added a big blob to the cardstock, but that will get covered up by a sentiment So I'm just adding more and more. It did make a mess. I will warn you now, it will make a mess. This kind of stuff is really fun. A really great one to get the kids involved in as well. And you can see that there's now lots of splatters on it. And I'm going to go in now, and remembering we did the leaves in the darker ink, we're now going to use the Lost Lagoon, and we're going to just add some of that to fill in those leaves and make it stand out a bit more. This was not accurate at all. I stamped outside of those outlines a fair bit, so don't worry about colouring inside the lines when it comes to this kind of idea. The whole idea is for it to be a little bit messy, and it has that look. So I'm using a thank you sentiment for this card. You could use any of the sentiments or any sentiment that you've got. And I use a slightly larger scrap piece of basic white cardstock, basically just so I can trim it back. I did use the Fresh Freesia ink for that one, so it all coordinates. And I'm just going to pop my card together. Really easy. Put that first base down, then the second base that we've added lots of layer of ink to. And that forms that bigger Fresh Freesia border on your card. And then I'm just trimming back my sentiment, making sure that it's straighter than what it was, and trimming it right back. And then I'm going to bring in a moment some more Fresh Freesia cardstock. But first of all, I'm going to show you a really cool little trick with some ribbon. And I've got this lime, it's the new lime green, I'm trying to think what, a parakeet party I think it's called, and it comes with the Zany Zoo bundle, but I wanted the darker ribbon in this thin style ribbon, so I just get the brush of my I'm going to take this ribbon now and start adding the layers with the sentiment as well. So I'm going to tie my ribbon in a bow. I just find this the easiest way to keep a ribbon stable and those loops and bits to stick out from underneath my sentiment. It's kind of one of my favourite ways to add ribbon to a card. I'm not a big one for bows themselves. So I'm just matting that, again, eyeballing it, but matting my sentiment so that it fits beautifully. I'm going to add some dimensional dots, and these things are magic. They just give that little bit of lift, and they are perfect for when you are adding your bow or any kind of element underneath. So you can't see it, but I've added a glue dot, stuck the bow on so it'll stay, and I've added the sentiment to my card. Now my second trick is to use your Stampin' Blends to get some rhinestones that are colour coordinated. Now your Fresh Freesia, the dark, may not be dark enough. Some of the lighter colours don't come up all that well. So grab a similar colour, same colour family, just slightly darker. I think I grabbed an old light purple, might have been Highland Heather, the light version, and then add them to your card for sparkle. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Here is my card. Hopefully you will give this one a go. Lots and lots of fun. You can try all sorts of combinations for this one as well. Thanks.